Hey everyone, so it is Saturday and I decided to start a vlog about reading new releases. In my June TBR, I mentioned that I had several new releases still out from the library and I want to get those returned soon since the library has opened up their return box, and people said they were interested in hearing about them. And also I decided to do it now because I had reserved several audiobooks and ebook new releases at the library that I've been waiting for a couple months, and it turns out they all came available at the same time. So I think this week is perfect. I can combine some of those audiobooks and ebooks new releases with the physical ones I have from the library and talk about several books this week. Let's see how many new releases I can get done this week and tell you about. So right now I am listening to The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This is a romance book, an adult romance, and I am about halfway through and I'm really enjoying it so far. This one gets really bad or fairly bad ratings for a Christina Lauren book, so I'm not sure yet. Maybe the second half will fall apart, but so far I'm enjoying it. It's about two assistants that work for a couple that are a married couple that are like home improvement people. They work for HGTV, like have their own show, have their own books, all that kind of stuff. And so we're following the two assistants. You know, the wife has an assistant and the husband. And at the beginning, they don't necessarily, I wouldn't even call it a hate to love romance, because it's not that they hate each other. They just don't really interact, and they are kind of opposites. So they have no reason to kind of be friends, because they're doing their own thing for the company, and not really interacting much. So I wouldn't call it hate. It just, they kind of get to know each other over this book tour, and just kind of the things that are happening as they're getting together, like, because you know it's a romance, of course they're gonna get together, right? I would assume at this point. And then also there's a lot of like drama with the married couple, because the married couple are not actually getting along and haven't for a long time, yet they have this whole like company that their marriage is the like main thing for. So that's what's happening. I'm about halfway through. I find the couple to be really cute and I am enjoying it. I'm flying through this book. I just started it last night and I'm already halfway through. I'm going to put it back on while I fill my bird feeders and stuff like that and do some outdoor work. All right, so I just finished The Honey Don't List. I couldn't remember what it was called for a second. My daughter's in the background doing her slip and slide, and yeah, everything kind of went downhill from the point that I talked to you. Like, I was really enjoying the relationship. I thought they were cute. I thought things were going well, the build up of their relationship. And then the like main conflict happens, like between the couple, not like the conflict of the book, but the relationship conflict. And I just like really didn't like it. Like, as in, I didn't like the behavior of the person that caused the conflict. And, you know, like, obviously that happens in the books, then there's forgiveness and all that stuff. But then, like, the resolution of it, I thought was just, like, way, like, the resolution of everything. So the resolution of the romance was too quick and easy. So it's a little later in the day, evening, and after I finished The Honey Don't List that afternoon, I started a new book. I started The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller, and I'm actually mostly listening to this because my audiobook request came in this week, right at the time as all the other ones, and I really enjoy it as an audiobook. I think probably more than I would have enjoyed the physical book, because the narrator just does a really good job about capturing the main character and her kind of personality. Basically, this is about a young woman who wants to seduce the king. The king has been like, is young and has been looking for somebody to become the queen, and hasn't really like picked anyone, you know, like hasn't even like shown any interest. And so she is determined to seduce the king so that she can become queen, because she wants to kill the king and be like the sole ruler. So she's not a good person, in other words. And it's very interesting following a character that is not good. Like, she has a lot of really bad qualities. Sorry, there's like ants, and like I was afraid one was on me. Yeah, so it's really interesting to be in her head when she's not a good person. And I think the narrator really captures that, like really has that voice because it's pretty over the top, because this is like, oh, YA fantasy, and it is a bit over the top the way she acts, but in a fun way. Like, I'm having fun with it so far. I'm about a third. I don't know, you probably can't see that bookmark because it's like blends in with the pages, but I've read 100 pages, so that's about a third. So it's flying by, obviously, since I just started it this afternoon. And it's going really quickly. So I might just sit down this evening and do a puzzle and listen to this and get a lot of it done, because I just kind of want to see where it goes. I have a feeling it's going to be cheesy, and it'll be like where she falls in love with the king and then decides not to kill him and they live happily ever after. And I'm kind of hoping that's not the case, because that seems predictable, obviously, since I'm guessing it right now. So I would really like it if something surprises me in the second, third, or 2/3 of this book. So it's the next day, and last night I did end up doing a puzzle and reading or listening to a lot of The Shadows Between Us. By a lot, I mean a couple hours. It didn't take me too long to do the puzzle, and I was just like tired of the book after that couple hours. And I didn't update you last night because I just didn't really have much to say. I got about halfway and I had nothing to add. And then today I listened to some more, and I'm at, what is that, 2/3? Yeah, probably 2/3 of the way. And I'm not like loving it. Like, my enjoyment level is kind of, sorry, the sun is a lot. My enjoyment level is going down quite a bit, I would say. I think it just feels very basic YA right now. Like, I want more surprises from it. Like, when I heard this described, I thought, oh, we're gonna follow kind of like what, quote unquote, a bad character. Like, there's even like another character in this one who she hates, who's kind of like Robin Hood, that is like stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, and she like hates him and wants to kill him. So obviously, like, it's kind of like if you were following the sheriff of Nottingham, getting my like Robin Hood Man tights and real Robin Hood mixed up. But yes, it's kind of like you're following the sheriff, but you know, like, in the fact that we're following somebody that's not quote the hero like normally. Yeah, and I just am finding it, even though we're following a different character and that's unique system, like following the bad guy, it doesn't really feel unique in other ways. I'm really hoping this last, I think I have 100 pages left. I hope this last 100 pages, more excitement happens, more surprises, because right now, like, the last 100 has been kind of boring for me and not really like exciting. All right, so it is the next morning, and I did finish The Shadows Between Us yesterday, but I just wanted to think about it a little bit before I talked about it, because I have a lot of feelings. So I think at the point where I told you last time I was at about 60% and I was starting to get bored and feeling like it was going to get really predictable. Well, yeah, the whole last half of the book just didn't work for me. The first half was really intriguing. I liked that we were following an anti-hero. I liked a lot of the social commentary that was starting at the beginning. Like, the main character, Alessandra, that's her name. She is, you know, fearless, and like in a society that is very similar to ours, where women are labeled as, well, they don't call them sluts because it's more of like a fantasy world where they would just be unmarriageable if they have sex before marriage, but men, they don't have any consequences. It's a world like that, and she like is taking control of her sex life and just being like unashamed of it. Like, she isn't at the beginning publicly, but then her and the king have some conversations and basically talk through like the problems, the differences between men and women not being able to have sex. And so like there's a lot of discussion about that, you know, about women's bodies and being equal to men. And there's also a lot of not discussion, but there is like a lot of examples of same-sex couples and stuff like that aren't even like talked about. It's just like they're at a ball and she just mentions that this lord is dancing with that lord and that they're a couple or they're courting each other or like two women together or whatever. And I like that it's just so casual, that it's a fantasy world where we don't have to take with us the prejudices from the real world. And so she kind of has some good social commentary. So those are good things. But then from halfway point on, the book becomes completely just a romance book. Like any fantastical elements, like fantasy and plot or anything just kind of goes away. And it's all just about, a very basic romance in my mind. It's not even like a fun, like, you know, from the beginning, you're like, she wants to kill him to take his throne. And so you think it's going to be kind of more of a vicious romance or something like that. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe that. But like, it just seems so like tropey and basic. And it just wasn't good in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe people like it. I mean, like when you look at the reviews, a lot of people like it. It's just not my style. Like, I either want like the fantasy to have more plot to do with political things and like stuff like that, or I want to just say that it's just a plain romance and that there's not really anything else going to go on. And even in my plain romances, I want some other plot. And this one, I don't know. I just didn't think there was much to keep my interest. I was very bored. I actually ended up, after I talked to you guys last, I almost DNF'd it, but I was like, okay, I'm doing it for this video. I gotta see if it turns out okay, if there's surprises at the end. And I ended up just taking my audiobook and turning up the speed like a lot just to get through the last third of the book. Just kind of zoomed my way through it. Yeah, because I just could not keep my attention. So yeah, had a lot of feelings. Didn't really like it. I just got back from doing some groceries and I was listening to a new audiobook on the way. I actually started it yesterday. It's called You Deserve Each Other. Can't remember the author. I'll put a picture of it. It's another new release that just came in and I've been hearing like really rave reviews about this one and I'm just not getting it so far. I feel like I need to switch to a different genre because the first one I read was a contemporary romance, didn't love it. And then like I read a fantasy romance, didn't like it, and now I thought that this one would be a winner because so many good reviews, and it's just not working for me so far. I'm going to keep listening for a little bit because I'm only about a third of the way in, and I'm hoping that maybe we will start transitioning from the hate into the love, because it's definitely a hate to love romance. And here's the thing with hate to love romance, like I like it when it's like witty banter, like if it's like much ado about nothing, when it's funny and it's witty and like there's obviously tension between the two people. But this one feels like just petty and vindictive kind of hate, not witty or fun at all. No banter, like it's just mean. So it's, in case you haven't seen it around, it's about a engaged couple that's getting married soon. They're planning their wedding and, you know, things have just not been going well in their relationship. And now they're trying to get the other, basically it seems like they're each trying to get the other to call off the wedding so that they won't be the one responsible for calling off the wedding. So they're just doing really mean things to each other, but it sounds like their relationship has been on the rocks for a while. And the problem is we're only hearing from the woman's point of view, like it's not dual perspective. And I think it would be better maybe if it was dual perspective, because right now I just really hate our main character. I hate this woman because I'm just like, why aren't you talking to him? Like, that's why you're at the place you're at. We've already seen, like, it's not a spoiler, but in the first chapter already, like, there's a prologue and a first chapter. There were 2 examples of ways in which she's lying to her fiance, and then she's, like, upset that they're not getting along. And I'm like, well, if all you do is lie to him, how does he know that you want things a certain way when you're not telling him? And it just drives me nuts, those kind of relationships where I'm like, I'm supposed to be behind you because he's a bad guy and not treating you well, when really, like, it just seems like you've lied to him, so he's only, like, treating you the way he knows how to. And I don't think, like, he's actually treating her badly. I think he's just not, like, he's not giving her flowers, but she told him that she didn't like flowers. And, like, just stuff like this, like, she hasn't, like, said anything. So he's just acting the way he wants to act in the relationship and not knowing that it's not going well. I don't know. Like, at this point, I just feel like it's very petty and I'm just hoping it gets better. Like, I'm hoping we're transitioning, and I'm hoping that the couple are gonna start growing and actually communicating with each other, and I'm hoping that's the direction it's going into, because right now I'm just like, oh my gosh, have a conversation. All right, so I finished You Deserve Each Other, and I'm just kind of torn about how I would rate this. This is one of those times where I wish I still did half stars, because I gave up using half stars this year because, you know, Goodreads doesn't have half stars, so I had to anyways think about whether I was going to round it up or round it down for Goodreads, so I just decided no more half stars. But this is one of those occasions that's hard, because I think truthfully this is probably a 2.5 star book for me, and I rounded it up to 3 on Goodreads, but I'm kind of questioning if I should have put it down to 2. I don't know. It just was not something that I enjoyed reading for about 60% of the book. So like I was saying yesterday, this is definitely an enemies to lovers one. You know, like a lot of hate to love, like I said before, is more like witty banter and stuff like that, and they don't really like actually super hate each other. But this is like, at the beginning of this book, they like are horrible the way they act together. Like, I'm just like, just break up. And so there's a lot of growth that has to happen in their relationship to get to the love part. So yeah, it takes a long time to get there. And the last 40% of the book, I really enjoyed. I liked talking about importance of communication and like seeing the steps they had to go through to get their relationship back together. So I enjoyed that part, but I did not at all enjoy the first like 60% of this book. And so it just was really hard to read it and be interested. And I think I would have given up if it hadn't been for like other bookish friends who are like, oh, you gotta see it till the end. So I don't know, like, if I could recommend this book, because you have to be somebody that's willing to like sit through all that to get to the good stuff. And I think if I had known ahead of time, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. But I'm also the kind of person that doesn't want to like there's a bee. I'm not like afraid of the bee, but it's loud. I don't really want to necessarily sit through 60% of a book I'm not enjoying just to get to like the meat at the end. And that's just my personal preference. But a lot of people love this, so I think a lot of people... Hello, bee. Yes, I see. I'm in your area. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people don't mind that. So take my review with a grain of salt. It probably, enjoyment-wise, was more of a 2-star, but I get what she was going for. She was trying to show that they are really, like, at their last rope and about to split, and that there's a long way to go. I get that. So I rounded it up to 3, but I didn't really enjoy myself. That's my thought. But I think that I need to move to a different genre now, because that's 3 books that were very, like, either romance or heavy in the romance. So I'm moving on to a different genre now, and I picked up Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the sequel to Skyward. It's sci-fi. I don't think there's any romance. At least there was no romance in the first book. So maybe this will help me get out of this slump, because I feel like so far in this video I've been kind of negative, of like, not fully negative. I mean, the books have been okay, but like not really in love with anything I've read so far. Sorry, it's something like tickling my throat or something. So yeah, so I think changing my genre will be better, helping me move forward on this, because I'm only on Wednesday right now, so I could get a couple more books read. I just don't want to get in a slump by reading another romance that I'm not loving. So yeah, that's my update. Life-wise, nothing's really happening. That's why I'm sorry that I'm not putting a lot of clips in here. We just sit around at home, play outside with the kids, cook dinner, read. That's kind of the life. Right now I am going to fill all the bird feeders. I don't know if you can see, I have gotten obsessed with bird feeders since the lockdown. So I've got a bird feeder here, hummingbird feeder here. I had another one over here by the hummingbird feeder, but we had a baby raccoon that actually was like climbing the tree and eating all of my bird seeds. So I had to move it to over there. Oh, no, it's right there. There's we just put in this like butterfly bird garden that will look nice next year, because the plants are just put in as bulbs and stuff like that. So right now it just looks like a pile of dirt, but I swear next year it'll have pretty flowers there. But there's a shepherd's hook the baby raccoon can't climb, so I had to move the bird feeder over there, and then there's another bird feeder and a birdhouse and a bird bath. So yeah, I've become like obsessed with birds since the lockdown or quarantine. So I guess that's one new hobby that I have come to love and enjoy with this happening. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right now, is fill all of my bird feeders and hope that the raccoon doesn't find a way to eat it all. Hey, so it's Friday. Last time I updated you was Wednesday, and I have finished a book and got partway into another book. So I'm just going to give you a quick update and then in this vlog, since it's been a week. And I feel really bad because I feel like this vlog went from being a vlog about new releases to being a vlog about a string of mediocre reads. But there's no way for me to know that going in. I was excited about each one of these new releases and wasn't planning on disliking them, and it just turned out that most of them were just average and not anything that I really loved. And so when I last talked to you, I said I started Starsight. I didn't have a lot of time to physically read the last couple days, so I've only read maybe about 70 pages, so I'm not going to really talk about that one, but I am really enjoying that one. And then on Wednesday, I also picked up an audiobook because I had a lot of stuff, chores and things to do, so I figured I should have an audiobook, and I finished that before, like in 2 days. And I picked up The Other Misses by Mary Kubica, which is a thriller. I was really in the mood to read a thriller, and this is the only one of the new releases thrillers I could get a hold of in audiobook. So I figured I would give it a try. I've tried one of Mary Kubica's books before and DNF'd it, so I wanted to give her another chance. This is her newest. I think it just came out like a couple months ago. And it is basically about this family of 4, mom, dad, 2 kids, who moved to this very small town. They lived in Chicago. They moved to a small town because the husband's sister has committed suicide, and they have inherited her house and also have to take care of her daughter, so their niece. And so they want to get a fresh start. A lot of stuff has been happening in their past in Chicago, and so they thought, this is, you know, it's unfortunate that the sister died, but it's a time to start fresh in a small town and take care of their niece. And so it starts off kind of with a fun vibe, like a fun, like creepy small town, creepy house vibe, and we just don't really know, the like niece is kind of weird and stuff like that, or off a little bit. So there's a lot of that interaction, and so it seemed like good at the beginning, and then it just got like really boring in the middle of the book. The problem is that there's like a main reveal. I would call it like the first big reveal. And I knew it by 2 hours into the book. It's an 11-hour book, and I knew by hour 2 exactly where it was going. And I think that's just too early to know. I think for it to be that obvious. I've looked at other reviews. A lot of people said it was obvious that early, so it wasn't like me being clever catching on. And that's just too early. So then, like the whole middle, you're like, okay, why are we building up all this suspense when we all know what's going on? So it was a lot of boring stuff in the middle, and then the ending has a lot of like bang, 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 bang twists and like reveals, and so the ending was pretty entertaining. I do think that twist that I said that I caught on to is a problematic one, and I don't think it's one that probably should be used in literature anymore. Obviously, I'm not gonna tell you what it is because that would be spoiling, so it makes the ending a little more disappointing too, because I'm like, do we really need to be using that? So I'm not gonna give any more details, but it didn't make the ending as explosive as I would have liked. So overall, it wasn't a bad book. It was just kind of boring middle, and could have had some different tropes used instead, or maybe like twist an older trope on its head and be like, oh, you thought it was going this way, but it wasn't. Like that would have been more clever. But yeah, so I just found it average. So once again, another 3-star read. I think almost everything I read this week I gave 3 stars, except for I think I gave Shadows Between Us 2 stars. So sorry. I would love it. Like some of these I think other people would really like. So I would love for you to like look them up on Goodreads and check out other reviewers and see if maybe they'd be ones for you. They just didn't work for me personally, with the just things that happened or whatever. So yep, that's it for me this week. I do have some other new releases that I have gotten from the library in terms of audiobook and ebooks, and so you can, I'm not going to continue vlogging because I've just have been vlogging for a whole week, but you'll, in my recent reads coming up, I'm about to start Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, I believe, and then her sequel is coming out soon, so I really wanted to read that one. I got that on an audiobook, and then I got an ebook of Beach Read, which I am super excited to read. That's by Emily Henry, I believe. And so I'm kind of sad that I'm not reading those in this vlog, because I'm really hoping that those will break this streak, but I just didn't get them early enough in the week to fit them in, and then I was like done with romance for a little bit. But you'll see them coming up in a review at some point soon. So that's it for me. Hope your week of reading was better than mine. Bye.